call me Fia Mea all you want to, because I do want to make something of myself. I do want to be something. I do want to leave a legacy behind. I do want to raise a family where each and every single one of my kids know the Lord, and that they also equally know how to be able to generate an income for themselves, right? Like, and be able to provide for themselves, right? And be able to represent God. Like how you, man, I'm about to go on. How you gonna be, you know, a leader of a church, for instance, right? Some of y'all might at me on this, but like, how you gonna be the pastor of a church, flat broke, overweight, and literally begging people for money? How you gonna do that, right?
Yeah.
And let's take it biblically. Let's take it even further. Like, we could take it biblically. Look at the ministry of Paul. Paul told people, I didn't ask you for money. I worked with my own two hands. I provided. He was a tent maker. That dude built tents. He worked. He got on and he actually worked. He was an entrepreneur. He did things for himself, right? So that he can make a bigger impact out in the world. And that's what I love about where I'm at now, and what I want to show people to be able to do. You can take what you have right now, right? Work diligently at it, and you can flip that and make a big impact for other people. It is important that we tithe to our local church, and that we sow in to the kingdom, right? So that we sow into the kingdom. So if you're not doing that, that's a heart check for you and God to do with each other. But I think it's important that you sow in to the work that's being done in the kingdom, and that you be contributing to your local church. And then on the other end, so regardless of what they're doing with that money, tithe into your local church. You're sowing into the kingdom, because that's a heart space between you and God. On the other end, for church leaders, like the very people who are placed in a position to shepherd the flock are not doing a very good job at it. Okay? People are not getting spiritually fed. People are not transforming. And this is the thing. Like, I understand everyone has their own spiritual walk and their own process of growth. But if we're going into 2021 right now, and your church is the same 200 people that you see week in, week out, and not a single person has transformed, or not a single person has made a significant impact, or if you're just going to the same service every single week, week in, week out, I would ask you, like, what's happening inside of you? Where are your needs? How come you're not getting fed? And then my question for the leadership of that church is, what's going on? What's the deal, right? Is this church about you, or is it about God? Or are you just saying that it's about God, right? And this is it's a touchy subject to talk about. Because,
Yep.
But I mean, this is, bro, if 2020 has taught us something, 2020 taught us that no matter what we have planned out, like, God's in control regardless, right? Like, I thought, I was like, yo, 2020 vision, it's about to be my year. And God said, I'm about to hit you with this pandemic, right? Yeah. And like, man, God's placing all of us in a position to be like, yo, everybody needs to wake up right now. Your focus has been in the wrong place. And I think from the people in the pews, the people sitting in the pews, to the leaders who are standing in the front of the pulpit, there needs to be massive revival and change in a big way. You know what I mean? And like, that needs to happen, because if that doesn't happen, what continues to happen is, like, literally, if we take a look at Tonga, right? From the very beginning, the very first king of Tonga, when they're trying to figure out what they should put on our flag, what animal should we put? An eagle? Should we put a lion? And he said, no, we're going to put the cross to represent Jesus Christ on the cross and the blood that he shed for this nation. And he goes down to the ground and he picks up the dirt and he says, this nation, that's where he said, you know, Motonga Kohoku Tofia, right? Like that's the moment when he said that. He offered our land to God, and we've become a people who've gotten away from that. And like it goes to the like all of the habits that we have now are like so off track. Why do you have guys doing Faikava till 3 o'clock in the morning? You know what I'm saying? Talking about nonsense, right? The Faikava was created so that we can come together and talk about what's happening in our community and to bring our community together. It's where the men would sit and we'd say, there's issues that are happening in our community. This is how we're going to fix it, right? But we got away from that. Now you got just dudes who are just sitting around just doing Faikava just to do it, not even worried about what's happening in the communities. Now we got people who, you got broken families. I'm getting passionate again, bro. We got broken families. You got divorces. You got people who are cheating on each other. Now you got a generation of women, of Tongan women who don't even know how to live life or make something of themselves. We got a generation of broken Tongan men who think that it's okay to just go date and sleep with anything that walks. We've walked away from what God designed for us. And it starts with the people who are standing at the pulpit, because those are the ones who are leading the congregations. So I'm going to say, yo, if you're a leader of a church, you got to step your game up. Like if you're looking at the same congregation over and over and over again, what's going on? You need to check your heart. You need to get with God. You need to get down on your knees and be like, come on now. Because we've become a nation. And man, I hate to say this, man. I hate to say this, but this is just on my heart to say. We've become a nation that for many people, we're a laughing stock.
Yeah.
When people look at us, they look at us and they say, yeah, you work yate. Yeah, you work at the airport. Yeah, you're going to be a caregiver. That's all we're known as. Oh yeah, you maybe a potential NFL football player here and there. Congratulations. That's who we've become as a people. And when are we gonna wake up? Again, I'm not gonna blame anybody. I'm not gonna sit here and blame our elders. I'm so grateful for what they've taught us. But I really believe that there's a generation of people who are probably like in their early 20s to like where I'm at, like 36, late 30s, early 20s, late 30s, that are sick and tired of seeing it, man. That are sick and tired of seeing the same thing happen over and over and over again. Every weekend is Groundhog's Day because another family member passes away from diabetes. Another family member is broke. Another family member is locked up. And we've become the laughing stock. Like I'm saying, and I'm not saying this to degrade our people. We are a strong nation. We are a strong people. We're a giving people. We're a loving people. We're a caring people. We're a laughter and having fun people. No one throws a party like us. The people out there in the world, they love us. Well, you wonder why people are attracted to Tongans when they go out there, with Polynesians when we go out in the world? Because we got heart. But somewhere along the line, that heart got hardened. And it walked away from the very purpose that God gave us from the very beginning. And here we are, sitting stuck. So many people stuck, not thinking that they could do anything. You know what I'm saying? Something's got to happen. Our lives got to be transformed. And there's got to be people who are willing to rise up, who are willing to take the baton and say, no longer. Hey, all these generational pieces, all the generational poverty, all the generational adultery and stuff that's happening in my family, yo, that stops with me right now. There's got to be somebody brave enough. And I'm saying I'm willing to live that life. I know that you're willing to live that life, but we need more people to live that life, right? In a nuclear bomb, when a nuclear bomb gets set off, before it gets set off, there's something called critical mass. Critical mass is the minimum amount of nuclear activity to cause a chain reaction for that nuclear explosion to occur. So what we have to do is we got to find enough people to create critical mass. Because if we have enough critical mass, the chain reaction occurs and that nuclear explosion of our nation we can thrive again. But we got to have enough people to come together, and it boils down to certain pieces. Who's leading the household? And then who's leading our churches? And then who's leading our nation? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we've gotten away from like biblical leadership, and we've stepped into just walking around aimlessly in the desert, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, I hope that this would be an encouragement to somebody, man, because when you had mentioned earlier, you had said, yeah, you know, if you're comfortable, you know, being where you're at, that's okay. I would challenge that. Because if you say that you're comfortable, you had never been exposed to something bigger than where you're at right now. Because guaranteed, if you were exposed, you wouldn't want to be where you're at right now.
Yeah.
If you were exposed to the greatness that's been placed inside of you, you wouldn't be comfortable with where you're at right now. You could convince yourself that you are, but until you were exposed, there's not a single person, like literally, if we put you onto a private jet and we flew you out to a 5-star resort and we told you that that's the life that you could have, you will never want to go back to where you once were. Guaranteed.
That's fast.
Yeah, guaranteed. You'll never want to go back. But it's just people have not been exposed to it. And that's where that critical mass comes in. Enough critical mass causes a chain reaction. We expose people to living a life that's bigger than themselves. And then we got a nation that's healed, bro.